computer. Okay. Partly because I'll forget what we said, but I'm not very good at notes. So anyway, I haven't seen the district newsletter, and I'm hoping that Kathy put in the flyer for the training on April 24th, I think is the 25th. Have any of you had a chance to look at the newsletter yet?
No.
Briefly, but I had to go to the dentist, so I didn't.
Okay, all right. Okay, well I'll check it out. But we do have the flyer pretty well ready to go, and I appreciate everybody that was able to attend the meeting that we had a couple of weeks ago to kind of hammer out some of those details. And I have sent that flyer back out to everyone, and I really haven't heard back from anybody if they think it needs something else or it needs to be changed at all. So I'm probably going to have Nancy send that out real soon, like in the next couple of days. I don't know. Anybody know if they're back yet?
They were supposed to be back on the 8th. I believe that they are back. I wanted to give them a day or two to settle in, get laundry done, that kind of stuff before
Get acclimated to the time.
Before the onslaught of emails.
Right. Well, I think Nancy's been doing a lot of stuff while she's been on vacation. So
yeah,
Roger, they are back. I emailed Nancy today about some Michigan Foundation tickets, and she's got some stuff that I need for basket raffles. So
okay.
They are.
Okay, great. Great. Debbie, you're involved in the convention planning too, right? You're part of that.
Yes, I'm just doing the basket raffles stuff.
Okay. All right. Well, good. Thank you. So I'll probably reach out to her. I was on vacation last week, so I know the feeling, but I was only gone a week, not a month. Kind of jealous of those guys to be able to take off for a whole month, but anyway, one of these days maybe. So we kind of have the classes set up. And so now it comes down to the details of how those classes are going to run. The two that really are going to take some work to kind of work out and make sure that we have everything right for are these two roundtable sessions, which will be the membership roundtable, and also that I've kind of tagged Brent Barrissey and Cheryl to moderate that. And then the Serving Beyond the Club roundtable, which is sort of the orientation 2.1, going outside the club and experiencing the wider world of Lions. And so a couple of things I have talked to Scott and Hope, and I haven't gotten a definitive answer from them, but I think they're going to do it. And Debbie, I wanted to see if your folks from Grass Lake would be willing to come in and talk about their meeting, their activity that they did to kind of get the community engaged and help out with Lions in Grass Lake area.
I definitely can call them and see if someone will come speak.
Do you think they'll be willing to do that?
I do. I think that I know a couple, or I don't know them well, but I think they would, but okay. I'll call and find out.
Okay, that'd be great if you could, because we're sort of in another situation where we're kind of looking at a similar kind of scenario with a club to reach out to the community and talk about, here's what we have done, here's what we can do, and if with your help we can do more. So I think that is going to be a really good session. We are probably looking at doing some other things. Now, I think I put in my note I sent out a note yesterday, I believe it was, with a couple of handouts that we didn't get at the forum, but were referenced in the seminars done by Carl Webster. And so one of them is called Building Healthy Clubs, and the other one is called The Autopsy of a Dying Club. Did everybody get those links yesterday?
Yes,
Yes.
but I haven't opened them yet.
Yeah. So I will tell you that the Building Healthy Clubs is a 99-page document.
Yes, you mentioned that in your email.
So I mean, there's a lot of pictures and things like that. So it's a pretty big file, and I wouldn't suggest printing that. But and I'm not going to print it either because I don't have that much. I don't want to spend that much paper or ink. So I did print out the one about the autopsy, which is like 33 pages, and I can make copies of that for people. If you didn't want to print it, I could send them to you or something. But I would suggest opening it up and looking through it. He really, I think, hit the nail on the head in his keynote with what are the characteristics of clubs that are on life support that need help. And so I think that's going to be a useful document for our district to kind of look at and get some ideas from and use to go forward. Carl's a very interesting guy. And those of you who were at the at the forum, got to see him in action. Talks a lot. Go ahead, Anita.
Okay, I have a comment about that because, as you know, since November, I've had the slog with the Jonesville Club.
Yeah.
I am happy to report they have finally paid their district dues and their LCI dues. Now they have to get their members reinstated. And there's where the penalty comes in. But I've received emails back and forth, and they didn't respond to my emails until I threatened to show up at a meeting. That's the only way I get any answers from their club. So that was fun. But anyway, what I got to thinking, after stewing around about this and everything, last Saturday, or a week ago Saturday, I started asking people like Roger Spriggs and Barry Allen, has the Jonesville Club ever been to any district events? And Barry was the only person who answered me. And he said, I know of no events where anyone from the Jonesville Club has participated. And there was one statement in one email that the treasurer made that made me ask this question. And that was, we haven't seen a district governor at any of our meetings since Terri Hoffman. He didn't even spell Terry's last name right, since Terri Huffman. And so I immediately texted my pal and fellow club member Kelly Luby, and I said, did you go to any of Jonesville's meetings? And she said, yes, I did. I went to their Christmas party, and I said to them, I'm happy to come to a regular meeting. Let me know. And followed up with them 3 different times, and they did not respond to her. I guess she didn't threaten to show up at a meeting. But
maybe she should have just shown up,
Right. But my point is, I've had issues with, I would say that I have 3 clubs that I have to babysit. Jonesville, Homer, and after I sent them the club reinstatement form and said, this is where you're headed, here's the form you got to fill out. Mm-hmm. They paid their dues bills within a week.
Yeah. Okay.
But the other club that I have an issue with right now that's starting to misbehave as far as dues goes is the Branch Area Club. And again, the only time I've seen anyone from the Branch Area Club since I was a member there was their president who received a Melvin Jones Award from Terri Huffman. The only district event I've seen them at. I think they went to training one time. That's it.
Well, I don't think now are you talking Teconcha or the Branch Area Club?
The Branch Area Club.
Branch, okay, Branch is down in
Coldwater.
Coldwater.
Where
Right.
Yeah.
Water.
But my point is, I think we as leaders of the district need to have a list of at-risk clubs. And the clubs that seem to be at risk, the clubs that seem to resent paying their dues, the ones that fall off our radar are the ones that are not showing up to district events and don't understand that whether or not a district governor visits your meeting doesn't mean you don't get to pay your dues, because Kelly's response was, that doesn't have anything to do with it. And so I wrote them an email. I spent 2 hours writing them an email, and I basically said, okay, I'm gonna let that comment go, but your district governor is a volunteer just like you. They don't get paid, whether or not they don't get paid for anything. They only get reimbursed for expenses they incur as a district governor. They're not paid, and none of your dues go to pay your district governor because they're unpaid. And it's like, paying your dues does not influence whether or not a district governor is able to visit you.
Right.
And
that's true.
I said, I checked with Kelly Luby, and she said she contacted your president 3 times without a response.
And
how is she supposed to, if you don't get on their schedule, they're not going to be able to visit.
Right. And technically the clubs are supposed to invite them.
Right. But just like Kelly, who I talked to tonight, said, she talked about Mike Nowak's zone meeting, and she said there were about 30 people there, and she said, I was kind of surprised that Annette wasn't there. And I said, well, a valid reason would be if she were visiting another club. Well, that jogged her memory, and she said she was visiting the Celine Club.
There you go.
You can't be everywhere.
Right. Everywhere at once.
And so, I think you need to, and we'll put it this way. Annette is visiting the Jonesville Club, but because they didn't want her on like February 6th, she is scheduled now for May the 7th, because she's not available on the first Tuesday of the month until then.
Yeah. Well.
And, and it's like, there's only so many meeting days. And once those get filled up, it's on a first come, first serve.
Right.
Basically. But my point is, once a club starts to, the clubs seem to resent that once they start resent paying dues, or they're late on their dues, or they're not, and they didn't ask, how is this dues structure? I said, what dues paid for are employees of Lions Club International and employees at the state of Michigan, and their office rent and their office utility and any technology we enjoy as Lions Club members. That's what your dues pay for.
Of course, their next question might be, well, how does that affect me? So that's probably
they would have to respond.
Certainly is the answer, but we also need to know what the benefits are that they receive for those dues that are paid. And so that's probably all of us need to be better versed in what those are. It's liability insurance, it's the resources. If anybody ever looks at the list of resources available for clients, it's amazing what they have. And it takes people to do that.
Like I said to Barry, we need to be better to tell what dues pay for, But just like whenever Esther Lamoth inducts a new lion, she says there's different things you have to do. You have to agree to participate, you have to pay dues, and you have to serve. Well, just like the individual member has to pay dues, the club, but because the individual members pay the clubs have to send the dues to where they are supposed to go, both LCI and to the district, which then forwards them onto Lions of Michigan.
So so another question might be the treasurers in these clubs, have they ever gone to district training for the treasurer position? I would
No, because
about
they
that.
don't
They don't
participate
go.
in any event. And that's part of the district events.
Right.
They're showing up. So they're not asking the questions. And, I've been beating my head against the wall for 4 months, and finally he told me that I completely offended their president, although they won't say why. And if I hadn't been so offensive, that he probably would have sent the check sooner, but he's been mad because they haven't seen the district governor show up. I mean, it's just like, well,
We're all adults here. We're all adults.
right. I'm sorry you're not acting like an adult, but it's just been, after that, it's like, okay, why don't they know how this works? They don't show up to anything at the district. They don't show up to training. They don't show up, and it's like, that's a pretty poor and flimsy excuse.
Yeah.
Because the insidious thing about this is they have never said, we don't have the money to pay our dues.
Right.
They've never said that. They've got the money sitting in their checking account. They're just digging their heels in. And now it's going to cost that club, I'm glad you're all sitting down, $35 a member.
Yep.
And they have 17 members.
Yeah.
That's $595.
So I guess
pay their dues by December 27th.
so I guess the in that particular case we'll find out how many of those people really want to be Lions.
Right.
Because if they don't pay, they won't be Lions. So and I'm sure
and
the club is not going to pay everybody's entry fee again. I would imagine.
I'll bet you do. I'll bet you they do. Because I think they have a fairly healthy admin fund. But again, it's like, really? That's your reason? But I said, and I put in an email, maybe this was offensive, but I said, you've collected money from members.
Okay. Hey, Anita, we've talked about this enough.
I know.
So let's move on. I would like to ask Teresa and Jim and Debbie to bring up anything that they have questions about, or any progress with their clubs or issues that you might want to talk about. Jim, you're not on mute, so I'll start with you.
Well, the only thing that bothers me is trying to get Northwest or the North Jackson Lions Club to have me out there. They actually had me out there, but we did an outdoor event, and by the time they got to my part of the meeting, a thunderstorm came along and we disappeared. I've talked to Gary a few times, and he says, I'll get you, but other than that, I can't meet with the Concord Club because they don't meet. They just do their stuff in the summer, which they do successfully running their concession stands or ball fields they have out there. But they have like 10 people in the club and about only 4 or 5 of them around town. And sometimes they do an impromptu thing at the local coffee house once in a while. But, other than that.
Would they invite you to that? If you knew about it, or if they knew about it, would they invite you to come to that?
They did. They were trying to recruit a couple people, which I thought they had one on the line, but he never joined. It was one of the town members that everybody knows. I was kind of hoping they'd get him, because if they got him, I think he could bring more people in. But I was talking to Jim Smith, who was at the thing in Hanover the other day, and says, what we need to do is try to figure out something to do like Grass Lake did. I think they bring in more new members than they had in the club to start with. I think they even got more members since then, you know.
Right.
And I believe the Cascades Club is asked to rent well, not rent, we will let them have it, use of it, to do that themselves, do some wine and dine, trying to bring up their membership, you know.
Okay.
I said, fine, we've let other clubs use it before, you know.
Sure. Well, you guys are all in the same area, kind of. So that's
You just have to do it during the middle of the week, because most of the weekends are booked.
right.
Because we've been renting out that place left and right, you know.
Right. Right. So Debbie, you started a trend.
Hmm.
How are things going? How are things going for you?
Actually pretty good, for the most part. Yeah, it's going pretty good.
Now now with Grass Lake, they have all these new members. Um, do they have a plan to get them involved and kind of get kind of into the club and what's happening? Do they have an orientation plan to do with those guys? But that's a lot of members to get at once if it's more than you already have. So uh, that could be a challenge to get all those people oriented and get them to buy in. Um, so any
Well,
about that or
so I haven't really spoke to them since that night, to be honest with you, but that night they pretty went in depth about when they had all the new members there for their open house. And they went pretty in depth what they kind of do and what they expect of them. So I think they kind of were aware, kind of what their obligations would be coming in. Obviously we're a volunteer organization and it's for the community. And so, yeah, I think, other than that, that's all I can tell you right now, to be honest.
well, if you can reach out to those guys and ask them to participate in our training event and maybe bring a lot of those new members with them to attend some of the different sessions, just to kind of get an idea of what's happening. They don't have to be a president to attend the president's training or the secretary or the treasurer, but if they have an interest, they could come to the training and just kind of find out more about how those offices work and some of the other things. And so like the how do you make time to be a lion, Kelly's session that she's going to do. So yeah, when you talk to them, I would also suggest maybe that you get an update on how things are going with all those new folks. So
Yeah,
that sounds good. Great.
Yeah.
All righty.
I would say with that many new members, they ought to look into finding some new projects or something to do too, or get with the school, the village or whatever, and find some new stuff to get involved in, because you got all these new people and
you got to put them to work
somehow. Or let them, do they have any ideas of something to do,
Right. Well, that's the thing, that's just as a point on some of these membership things, when you read about why people don't stay in Lions, why do you think one of the reasons is that people don't stay in Lions?
I can probably tell you it's because the older members are all set in their ways. And when a new member comes up with an idea, well, no, we've never did that. That won't work. We've always did it like this. And
Yep.
it turns people away. We go through that with our ladies often. We just actually had this happen at our meeting. And thank God I was on vacation, but I guess it was quite a huge blow up because, we have our carnival and one of the newer members, she's in her 50s. So to me, that's young and newer, right? Nowadays.
Yeah. Right.
And she wanted to head up like selling hot dogs and conies at the carnival with a bag of chips and a bottle of water for obviously way cheaper than the food trucks at the carnival.
Right.
So we were all on board. She talked to the chairman in the Lions Club to make sure it was okay. Well, someone in our women's group talked to someone and made it sound like we didn't get it okayed with the chairperson in the men's group. And I guess last Tuesday was a huge mess, from what I was told. And, but because she wanted to try something new and the older ladies are like, well, we don't have enough members to work that. And anyways, it was just kind of but I hope it's all ironed out, and we did get their approval to do it again, but I guess at our meeting, it was quite eventful because I was in Florida also, Rogers. I wasn't there. Thank goodness.
I think half the district was in Florida
Yeah,
last week.
yeah.
Well, that's exactly right, Debbie. I mean, you know, and it's you know, people say, well, we need new members, we need new ideas, but then when they come and they give an idea, then it's like, well, maybe we don't want to do that. You know, and so, you know, it doesn't take too many of those for somebody to say, yeah, I guess I don't need to be here because I'm not offering anything and they don't care about what I have to say. So, you know, that's I mean, that's a huge thing with people. Nobody wants to be where they're not wanted. So, anyway, go ahead, Anita.
The North Adams Club, which is in my zone, they have an associate member that made the suggestion, why don't we do a park cleanup? And that park cleanup is scheduled for Saturday, April 20th in North Adams at 10 a.m. And their associate member, Roger Yoder, who is a regular member of the Cascades Lions Club, he suggested we do that. I saw the email and I responded immediately, I'm available. I'll put that on my calendar. Yes, I'm coming.
He's also doing one in the Saturday, the 30th of March for the two zones.
He's doing several cleanups, but as zone chairman, I immediately responded and said, I'm happy. I think it's a great idea. It's something, you know, he doesn't think it'll take more than a half an hour. You know, it's going to take me longer than that to drive there, but I can show up and perhaps that will help legitimize the project.
What's the date on that again, Anita?
Roger Yoder.
Yeah, I know the date.
The date is Saturday, April 20th.
20th, okay.
And he's doing other Saturdays with other parks with people in the environmental, you know, under the environmental umbrella.
Sure.
And so, you know, I'm going to pack up my gloves, bring a rake, probably bring a, one of those vests, if, you know, one of those brightly colored vests in case we are near the road. But it's like, yeah, I'll come and help.
Terri, do you have anything to report? Or suggestions? We haven't heard from you at all night.
It's been a long day.
Terry's been busy. Terry's been busy tonight.
Phew. Roger and I came directly from a meeting with one of our clubs that's in a bit of trouble. And so we met with them an hour and a half tonight, and we have been pouring hours into this club each week, you know, trying to get them back afloat and keep them afloat. And Roger is the guiding lion, and so we're working together on this project, but we see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm not sure they do yet, but we'll get there. But
Yeah,
the rest of the clubs are, go ahead.
I was just going to say that somebody said, well, how do you know, or might say, how do you know a club's in trouble? Well, we all get this club health assessment that has information about the clubs, like are they behind, and do they have officers, et cetera, but that doesn't always tell you the whole story. And so, you know, you really need to, you know, understand, you know, what the workings of a club. And if you don't hear from them, that's probably not a great sign. Or maybe if you do hear from them, that's a better sign that at least they're reaching out, you know, for some help. But anyway, so yes, Terry's. We have a project on our hands, and
Yes, we
hopefully
do.
it'll all work out. But
Well,
it's
the
gonna
sign
take a
is,
lot of out of the box thinking, I think, to get that going.
the good sign is they're willing to meet with you
Yeah,
rather than
that's true.
we got it, leave us alone.
Yeah, right.
Yes, and Roger's we've identified some areas where we can provide some training, where we can, you know, provide some guidance. So trying to hit each need of their club to kind of bring them back around. So
And so
I think they'll make it through. It's just gonna be, it's gonna be a road.
yeah, the so I'll make that offer like I made to the person that's the the vice president currently and will be vice president soon probably. That if you know if you know we are going to have training on April the 25th, so please tell your clubs about that. Please encourage them to go. But if they need training otherwise, I mean, I'm happy to meet with them, you know, on one-on-one basis, or you know, maybe a couple of people at a time, you know, for on a specific area, you know, and we could do some training that way, just to, you know, if somebody's not comfortable with the position, or I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people like in positions they've been in forever that they don't need to know anything because they know it all, you know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But you know, it would in a position like the treasurer, it's like when you get in trouble, you're really in trouble. The secretary, you know, you can kind of skate by with that a little bit because you know there's no legal implication with that. It's just a matter of okay, maybe not reporting as well as we should, or you know maybe you know we don't have people's names correct in the Lions database or something like that. But and it is a lot of work. I don't mean to say that it's not a lot of work being secretary, but it's like with the treasurer, it's like you can get in some real trouble, like with your Jonesville club, you know, and it's usually not a good reason that they got in that position. So, you know, I commend you for sticking with it, being persistent, Anita, to try to get those guys back in line. But I'm guessing that a lot of those folks may not come back, but maybe we can be optimistic and say, yeah, they all love being Lions and they really want to do it. But you know,
I'll tell you, every time I write them an email or every time I read an email, the first thing I say to myself is, the goal is to reinstate as many of these Lions as possible. Whatever they say to me, I try to let it roll off my back. You know,
right.
I only have one goal, and that has helped my temper from flaring quite a bit, you know, from saying that is ridiculous or you don't make any sense kind of thing, which is my initial bad reaction. But one thing that I would suggest with this club, because I believe it's on your way to Jackson, is maybe you offer to pick someone up if they need training for the training event, because you're driving right past where they live on I-94. You know, that's another, I don't drive at night. I'll pick you up.
Yes.
You know,
Good suggestion.
Well,
Carpooling is always a positive because at our age, a lot of us don't drive at night. My wife doesn't. So
right. And so if you can do that, if you can find a couple of car seats for people, you know, a couple of seats in a car or in multiple cars, you've removed that barrier from them getting to that training.
Yep.
Yep.
So how many of you were able to go to Michael's zone meeting? All right. So
A
Terri,
good chunk of your club was there. Where were you at?
yeah, well, I was in Florida. I was,
Heard that your club was well
yeah,
represented.
I was in Destin. Well, so our club had wanted to invite those people to come to visit our club to talk about it. And so when this came up with Michael's situation, we really encouraged them to go to the zone meeting to hear these folks, because the chances of getting them to go to 2 meetings was probably not real high.
You want to make a bet?
And that was
Oh,
in a more
and
central area.
and farther, even farther away from them
Sure.
on a school night.
Right, exactly. So,
2 boys are supposed to be in Vandercrypt Wednesday.
okay. Well, if they, in the local areas there, that's great, that they can do that. But it was a good chance for our folks to get down there and hear, and hear these guys, because we are thinking about putting together money to, in fact, the spaghetti dinner that we're doing tomorrow night, the funds are going to go into a pool of money that's going to go to those folks for the All-State Band. That's what we've decided to do with the funds from that fundraiser.
Which I will be picking up 2 meals at approximately 4:30 p.m. because my friend Julie and I are participating in your spaghetti dinner, and we've already decided we're driving up there and then going back to her house to eat it.
Okay. Well, you have to microwave it probably, unless you bring a hot bag, bring a cooler and put them in to keep
The
them
cooler's already in the car, but thank
Okay.
you, Rod.
warm. Okay, good.
But we have already planned this out, and I'm picking her up. I'm getting a new battery for my phone, and then we're going to pick up the spaghetti.
Good. Well, thank you for participating, and thank you guys for supporting Michael with his zone meeting, because he this kind of it was suggested to him, and he really took the ball and ran with it, and I'm glad it worked out well. And he kept worrying about how many people were going to be there, and I said, well, people aren't going to respond to you very well, so figure out how many people you think you have and then double it. So I don't know how that worked out for him, but
Kelly said that she thought there were about 30 people
Okay.
there besides the students.
good.
She named off to me all of the clubs that participated.
Right. So,
And she said all of your clubs, just so you know. She
Yeah.
said all your clubs that you participated, but she told me that tonight and
good.
said it was really good. And she looks forward to seeing them at the district convention.
Yeah.
Which they have all accepted, and they are part of the 22 or 24 people that we have meals for.
Okay, so they're going to be guests at the convention.
They're going to be guest convention from lunchtime on.
Okay, great. Are they going to play music, or just are they
I-
going to speak at all, or not? Or do you know?
I don't know that they're going to play music, but they are going to speak.
Okay, great. That's fantastic. That's great. Well, I think it's exciting that we have some kids from our district that are going to go to that. So that's well, I'm sure some of you have seen the All-State Band perform. I haven't been to the convention since prior to COVID, but I tell you what, they do a great job. They're very impressive. So, all righty. Well, it's almost 8 o'clock. Anything else? We can let you out a little early, but appreciate the time. And if you have any, take a look at those links. I think there's some good information in there about
There's
the
some
clubs.
good, healthy, large clubs he's got on there.
Well,
One
that's
list.
the thing. That's the thing. It's like the ones he profiled were like really large clubs. I mean, these are like over 100 members. Okay.
With the
One of
ones,
them is like 300 or 400 members, I think. But
Seal Beach has
so,
409. They're the biggest club in the
country, right?
in the country.
In the United States, anyway. But so I was kind of like, well, how does that relate to a club of 6? So I got to kind of look at that, and I got to think about, okay, what are the characteristics? Not so much, how much they can do and all these sorts of things, but what are some of the basic characteristics of these clubs that make them successful? And so probably engagement, for one thing. They're engaged with each other. They they have new members and they engage with those members and get them involved. So those kind of things, and a club of 6 can do that. A club of 6 can get a new member and they can get that person involved and, feel good about doing service. So anyway, look it over and see what you think. We will have another meeting. It'll be early May, I guess, and I may actually be gone again. Let's see. Today is what? Okay, so this would be April. Okay, we're talking April now. Okay, so April 1st. That's Easter Monday, April Fool's Day, or April 8th. What would work better for you guys?
What about April 15th? Because I'm going to go watch the solar eclipse.
Oh, that's right. So am I.
And on the
April 15th would be fine with me, if everybody else is okay. Because I am going to go to Indiana, I think, to watch the solar eclipse in my hometown, which is in the path. So so we could say either April 1st or the 15th, and if the 15th works
where
better. Sorry?
Where is your hometown?
Rushville, Indiana.
Okay, yes. I will be in Indianapolis.
Okay.
Near Meridian and Kessler at my sister's house.
Okay. All right. So is April 15th? Is that okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
that works great.
Okay. All righty. We'll set it up for that, and I will make sure everybody knows. April 15th. 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Great. Well, hey, thanks everybody for coming.
One more thing.
Okay.
I have
You got 2
you
minutes.
are the Lions training meeting that is Monday, March 25th.
March 25th. Yes.
And the conference planning meeting is the 24th. Sunday, the 24th.
Okay.
What's the 25th? I'm not gonna be here, so I won't be.
The Lions
That's
training,
That's a Thursday.
Rogers meeting.
Wait a minute.
I missed your
I'm sorry. It's April. I'm looking at the wrong date. So the 25th is our next training planning meeting.
Yes.
So that's what that is. So if you could, Debbie, if you could just get with Grass Lake,
Yeah.
and let me know about that before.
Okay, I can do that, Roger. I'll get with you on that for sure.
Okay, great.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
alrighty. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
And
Bye.
See
Thank
you
you,
later.
Roger.
See you
Thank
about 10
you.
o'clock tomorrow morning.
10 o'clock. I haven't gotten anything back from Matthew that he's available, but I'm assuming he is.
That would kind of help, wouldn't it?
Well, if he's not there, I guess we won't have a meeting. But well, I'll be on Zoom at 10 o'clock. So,
Then I might see you at about 4:30, 5 o'clock, because
are you
someone
coming?
sold me a ticket.
Are you good? Okay, good.
I won't say who, but they might be on this meeting, or she was part of it, between
Oh.
them and the Spriggs.
Well, you got this big S on your forehead, Jim. So, all righty. Well, hey, thank you guys.
All right. See you guys tomorrow night.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Stop this recording.